All right, everyone. Well, thanks for joining us today on this exciting webinar, How to Make Pricing Exercises Fast and Painless. I know there's probably a few more people joining, but we already have a lot that are already online with us. So I think we're going to go ahead and get rolling. And of course, anyone who joins late, this will be recorded and we'll send it out afterwards. But yeah, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to start out with a couple quick introductions of Mark and myself. My name's Cameron Page. I'm actually the CEO and founder of ClearStory. My background was commercial construction. I worked for DevCon Construction in the San Francisco, Silicon Valley Bay Area and built large and small projects, and design changes were constantly happening on all of my projects. And the pain of getting those documents, sending them out to my trade partners, herding cats, trying to get pricing back, reviewing all the change order requests just so I could update my PCOs and keep my client informed was a huge pain point for me and a big part of the reason why I built ClearStory. So excited to give you guys an overview today on the feature. Mark, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Mark Oxell with ClearStory. I'm one of the customer success managers on the team. Mainly work with GC customers. My background is also in construction. Worked for a large commercial general contractor before joining the team here.
Awesome. And we're excited. We also have, the chat feature available. So if you guys have questions, there's also like a structured Q&A thing in Zoom. So if you guys have questions, we'll take all those at the end. And are looking forward to a conversation here. So what we're going to cover today, we got introductions out of the way. We are going to do a quick overview on just like what ClearStory is. So I'm sure many of you are probably customers of ours, but many of you probably aren't familiar with ClearStory. So we wanted to walk through a quick overview of just what ClearStory is all about beyond just pricing exercises. And then we'll walk you through some workflow diagrams just to show how our process works. And then I'm going to kick it over to Mark to do a demo, live demo of the software, show our change notification tool, which is what we do pricing exercises with in ClearStory. And then at the end, we'll have time for Q&A. And we want to hear from you guys and answer any questions you got. So with that, we'll get rolling. Quickly about us, we were founded in 2018. I think what makes us unique is we are a change order communication network built for the whole industry. So we work with specialty contractors, general contractors, and owners. Anybody dealing with out of contract work can use our platform to ensure alignment and visibility at any given point in time. So our core features are a cloud-based shareable change order log and a bunch of workflows behind that we'll cover today. We launched in 2018 and have grown pretty fast. And we work with specialty contractors in every trade vertical and large and small general contractors and owners alike. So our whole point of view and goal for the industry is to help get change orders processed and closed faster. And so obviously pricing requests are a big part of that. But our main goal is so you don't come to the end of a project when you're trying to close out and find a bunch of change orders. And by using ClearStory, we help general contractors avoid that. But really by doing that, all stakeholders win. The specialty contractors get paid faster, the GC can bill for retention faster, and the owner can move on to the next project faster as well. So why that sometimes happens is what we call the change order gap, which everyone in the industry has project financial software where they're tracking their project's budget, but those tools are private really by design. It's where you're housing sensitive cost information. And so the change order gap is what happens in between in order to get alignment on what's outstanding. And so the key document everyone shares is a change order log to bounce back and forth and ensure both parties know what's outstanding. And then beyond that, there's a bunch of workflows that go into out of contract work. So tracking field directed extra work is often still done on carbon copy T&M tickets. We have a solution for that. We can automatically price those change order requests as well. And then change order review is also a big part of our software. So as Mark will show in the demo, we have a whole workflow where you can redline and mark change order requests, revise and resubmit, keep track of all the correspondence and version history as well. And really our goal is not to displace anything you're doing in your project financial, is to help financial software. It's to help you get information into that system faster. And so the change order gap is really what lies below the surface. And we're trying to help you guys surface that information as fast as possible. so that you can ensure PCOs or PCIs in your system of record contain all that change order exposure. So how it works, we kind of focus on three pillars in our software. And that's what we call forward price change orders, or change orders where you know you need to go get cost in order to, as a general contractor, to go get pricing from your trade partners, review that pricing, package it up, and put it in front of your client so they can make a decision on a change in the project they're building. The second pillar we focus on is field directed extra work. Everyone tries to avoid T&M tickets, but oftentimes they're the best tool to track out of contract work. But it is painful. Triplicate carbon copy is still sort of the industry standard, and there's a huge visibility gap once tickets are signed to when the pricing actually accrues. We're not going to get into that part of our system today, but just know that it's a big part of ClearStory. And then, of course, contractor initiated, maybe a submittal gets sent out and the trade partner recognizes a cost. Usually all those things are captured through email. And with ClearStory, all of those can be captured in our cloud-based change order log. So today we're going to focus on pricing exercises in ClearStory. And as many of you know, maybe the reason why you joined the webinar, they can take a long time. And, usually there's, you need to send the drawings out, get them back from the subcontractors. Ideally, that's a 2-week, duration or less. Then as a GC, you need to review everything. You need to wait for every sub to respond. And then you need to package it up, get it in front of your client. And then if they have feedback, you got to do the whole process over again. So all of ClearStory's tools are built to streamline that process. And before we jump into the workflow diagram to kind of show end-to-end how this works, I wanted Mark and I to go over some reasons why doing this faster matters. And the first one is just simply faster decision making. As a general contractor, you want to help your clients make informed, proactive decisions about their project, ideally so they can maximize the value of their asset. And so whenever a design change comes out, the faster and more clear you can present the cost to your client, the faster they can make decisions. But oftentimes that process gets bogged down in manual back and forth and paperwork and all that kind of stuff. So faster decision making is not only good for the client, it's also good for the general contractor. You can stay on schedule, things like that. Oftentimes, it's hard to get an understanding of all the pricing exercises that are in flight across a project. Even on a medium-sized project or even a small project, there can be dozens, if not hundreds, of design changes or things you need to price out. And it can be easy to lose track of what's in flight. And sometimes those can linger on until the end of the project. And so that can create situations where there's a potential cost overrun or something you need to go back to your client for late in the game, which is always an outcome everyone wants to avoid. And then the next one is just simply efficiency. This can be a huge time suck for project teams. It's like a mini bid every time you have to do a pricing exercise. And with our tools, you can dramatically reduce the manual burden on project teams. And the last three, and I'll let Mark chime in here as well, is just simply like a competitive edge. This is a part of GMP contracting. We are planning for change, and the faster general contractors can do this, the better value they can add to their client and the more efficient they can be on their projects. So we see this as a differentiator as well. And then from a cash flow perspective, like everyone is trying to improve cash flow, bill faster. And the faster you can get change orders approved and resolved, the faster you can bill for things, the faster you can get your trade partners paid and keep the project moving forward. And lastly, one of the things that I'll have Mark walk us through is the reporting and insights that you can get with ClearStory. We have a lot of structured data in our system, so we can show you things like days aging, subcontractor response times. But one of the coolest reports that we'll show today is our change notification response matrix. So on a project, you can see every single pricing exercise that's out there in one view and see the status of every single subcontractor's response. And sorry, Mark, I'm going fast because I want to get to your awesome demo, but anything you want to add here, Mark?
No, nothing additional. We'll kind of hit on these as we go through the process, reflect back on them.
Yeah. And so walking through the workflow diagram, this is sort of end to end what it looks like in ClearStory. And one of our core values is to keep it simple, and we tried to do that with our product. So basically, the way it works is a GC creates what we call a change notification. And from there, you can select one or multiple subcontractors and send them the documents for whatever is going to change. We do integrate with tools like Procore and Autodesk to pull in files from those projects so you can send them out. But what's nice is you can set a deadline of when the responses are due. You can track whether your trade partners have opened the design change you've sent them. And you can see holistically the status on each pricing exercise. For subcontractors, it's really simple. They get an email notification. They also get an in-app notification in ClearStory, and they can respond by either simply uploading the change order request that they would normally send, or they can respond no cost impact if the change doesn't impact them on the project. But the cool part about ClearStory is every time they respond to a change notification, the response lives with that change notification, but it also gets logged in ClearStory's cloud-based change order log. So it goes straight into our change order review and approval workflow, where you can redline the change order request, add comments, mark it, revise, and resubmit. And then through some of our integrations, you can push it to a PCO in your system of record. And we keep track of which PCOs you've sent it to. So it unlocks a bunch of cool reporting to tell you which of my change order requests I've received in ClearStory have a landing spot in my system of record. And with that, we'll jump into the demo here in just a moment. This is that change notification response matrix. So giving you kind of a quick view of what Mark is going to show. The end outcome by sending all this out through ClearStory is you have a real-time matrix of everything you've sent. And you can see across each contract how many they've been sent, how many have been responded, what percentage that is, and you can look at that at every single contract. This is also exportable and filterable, however you want to look at it. And then lastly, I guess we'll just touch on some of the benefits real quick. Obviously, you can send them out, enforce pricing deadlines. We also have a forecasting tool, so you can, type in what you think each response is going to cost and compare it to the actual. You can use our change notification response matrix. And some of the other cool tools, like I was a building connected user back in the day, and you could tell which of your subs had opened the bid that you've sent to them. And our change notification tool works really the same way, where you can actually see if someone's opened the change notification. And if you have a response due in 2 days and someone hasn't opened it, they might be late in responding. So we offer ways to, with the click of a button, resend reminders to your trade partners as well. And with that, I think I'll kick it over to you, Mark, and we can jump into the demo.
Awesome. Let me share and we'll get rolling. All right. So when you're within ClearStory, um, on the change notification log, so I'll click that log here, what you'll be able to see is your running list of any pricing requests that you've sent out throughout the project. So in my day, when I was managing jobs, I tracked all this on a spreadsheet. I had multiple sheets for each pricing request, and I would have to go in and manually update each line item based on when I was getting responses via email. So pretty tedious task, time-consuming task. With ClearStory, a lot of that becomes automated, where once I create the change notification, I can come into here and see when the item was sent, when it's due, quick title of what the item is. Um, Contractors responded. So this is a great column to reference because you can see how many trades you've sent it to and what your current status is on your response rates. Then you can also see estimated value and your projected cost impacts for that specific change notification. If I click this eyeball icon into that specific addendum 12, it gives me a better breakdown view of the change notification itself. So similar details from the main page at the top, but I can see the specific trades that I sent this item to. if I look over to the right-hand side, I have a response status column, so I can see what those responses are. So if this first item, for example, they had a no cost impact, they were able to reply in the tool, no cost impact, $0 shown. A couple other trades responded with change orders. You'll see it provides the date that they responded, who responded, and it provides a hyperlink to the change order itself and the value of that change order. And then last status is awaiting response. So you'll be able to see which trades are still still maybe reviewing the items to get you pricing that you have requested from them. And then while we're still on this page, going back to Cam's comment is the tracking mechanism. So you'll see there's a column here for emails opened and then another for files downloaded, where you'll be able to see, okay, did those trades open up the emails? Have they downloaded the files to review? And from a previous GC standpoint, this is helpful for myself because I can then start a conversation with the trade if that due date is approaching and they've opened it quite a few times and they still haven't provided any pricing back. I can reach out to the trade and say, is there something going on that I should be aware of that's, holding you up and getting pricing in a timely manner and so on. So again, going back to the visibility and just timeliness of getting pricing, that tracking those two items, I find beneficial and other teams have found beneficial as well. Um, while within this page, if I want to review the change order that was sent over, I can go ahead and hit the link to the PDF that was provided. It'll bring me over to the change order itself. PDF shown here. I can come in, make markups as needed. So if I pop back over, I'll click on this one, for example. If I go in, I can see the PDF itself. There's the activity feed on the right-hand side. So again, pulling items out of email, getting everything in clear story. You have one location for yourselves and your trades to go reference. So you'll be able to see who uploaded it, who it got sent to, any comments made back and forth. So again, one source of truth for you and your trades to stay on top of processing that item. And then on top of that, you're able to see any previous versions as well. So if I go back to a previous version, we'll zoom in here. You can see markups and comments that were made. The trades can respond right in clear story to any markups or comments that you've provided.
Yeah, and this is really powerful because back in my day, I would, part of our job as a general contractor is to review and validate change order requests. And I think part of the challenge there was, usually we would use a PDF markup tool or some way of like adding red lines to the change order request, sending it back to the sub, tracking their response via email. And what's cool about ClearStory is you don't have to leave ClearStory in order to do all those red lines. You can mark it up there and you can track all that correspondence between you and the trade. And that's really important because when you present it back upstream to your client, we have the ability to attach all that review history and kind of show your homework of what process you went through to ensure the costs were valid, which often my biggest frustration is that I would spend days or weeks scrubbing through a large design change, present it to the owner, and they say, well, did you even review this? Like that, and it was always hard to really show your work. And so that's one of the powerful things about ClearStory, and that's why I think it's a differentiator, is because you can actually show all that hard work you put into it to your client, which gives them confidence that you put it through a process and reviewed it. So really powerful and cool part of ClearStory. But keep rolling, Mark. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, yeah, and another aspect of it as well is the visibility, right? So instead of digging through multiple emails, you or your team can come into one location and see every piece of information tied to that specific change order and pricing request.
Yeah, which is particularly powerful because even on a small job, the odds of a team member moving to a different job or, God forbid, leaving the company or whatever, but also one of your subcontractors, maybe, the project manager changes out or they retire or they quit or they go on maternity or paternity leave. it makes it really nice swapping a new person into that project because they can immediately get up to speed on the change order status and see all the history without having to access their email or go to a bunch of file folders and things like that.
Yeah. Awesome. So back onto the main screen here. The other nice aspect of our tool is if you're in a meeting with that specific trade, let's say a biweekly PM meeting, and you're talking with the trade, hey, what's the status of this item? Um, they say, oh yeah, there's no cost. You can go in real time and update their status for them. Um, if they, you know, just through conversation, you could come in, say, yeah, I have no cost associated with that. You can hit mark as no cost impact, say, put in the note per this conversation on this date, it was no cost impact, and get real time updates and stay on top of where that pricing's at.
Yeah, I mean, it's an important thing to point out. And the reality is some subs are going to respond late and they might have
Mhm.
legitimate cost. And that's usually the project manager's discretion to decide how much they want to enforce that deadline, right? And so what
Right.
many customers do is if it's past the deadline, they'll mark it no cost impact. We do have the ability for the PM to change it if they want to permit them to submit something late, but it does act as a very good forcing function to say, I'm assuming this is no cost impact because it is now past the date, which again can just be simply challenging to do if it's being tracked through email.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Every GC has some form of language in their contracts that you have X amount of days to respond by. If not, you know, this is the result. So that's a method to enforce that.
But Mark,
And
maybe quickly, because I do want to show the response matrix, but maybe
mhm,
quickly show the creation of one and how to respond. And
yep.
then we can show the response matrix and then take on questions.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So to create a change notification, you'll hit add new at the top, bottom option, create a change notification. You'll come in here to this page. At the top, you'll go ahead and pick your project. Pricing request, customer reference number will be the GC's tracking number, so PCO, PCI. So I'll go ahead and type in a PCO, for example. Let's go. And then you'll plug in the title of what that item is. Description, what plug in the description of what that item is as well. So I'll plug that in. Due date, couple of optional due dates here, or you can pick a custom. Um, I'll go ahead and pick a custom here for 3/7. Email message. So if you want to add additional language to the email that gets sent out from ClearStory, you can plug it in here. What the trades will receive when you send out this change notification is an email that states something similar of you've received a change notification for ASI number 16. It's due back on 3/7. Um, this wording will populate if you include it, and then there will be a link to ClearStory so they can get further information. At the top right here, this is where you'll add all your contractors in. So if I hit this drop down arrow, you'll see I can select all contractors, or if it's an RFI, for example, that only affects potentially a handful, I can pinpoint those two or three. For this instance, I'll hit select all. And then upload files. This is where you'll want to attach your files for the trades to view and download. I can hit upload here, grab a drawing and attach it. So now
And
it's
Mark, I
linked.
think it'd be good to point out on the carrot there,
Yep,
like if you guys use one of these file sharing tools or Procore or Autodesk, like you can pull files in from those systems. So just know that.
yep. So you'll be able to pull those in, whatever documents you have associated with this pricing request, recommended to drop in here. And then we also have this notify internal team members option where if you select that, it will notify your team internally, send them an email that this pricing request has been sent out. Once all those fields are selected, you just hit send. That goes out to the trades. They'll receive the email that I mentioned earlier, and now they can start their review. Um, and provide their responses as necessary. So that option, that item populates at the top. You'll see 0 of 13 right at the top there. And then I'm going to pull over one of my test sub accounts to show you what it looks like on their end. So on the sub side, when they're logged into ClearStory on the left-hand side, they'll see a little red indicator bubble with a number in it. That indicates the quantity of change notifications that they have yet to provide a response to. So in this instance, 2. So you'll see at the very top there, there's that ASI 16 that was just sent out. When they hit the eyeball, they're able to see all the details on the left, any documents in the center, and then their responses at the top. If they have no cost impact, they can select no cost impact. That'll send a notification to the GC side, and that response is logged. If they have pricing, they'll be able to hit upload a COR to provide that pricing for the GC to start their review. So if I hit upload a COR, brings me to this page here. A lot of the fields will auto-populate. I'll plug in my cost, say $8,400. Down below here, click to upload file. Again, similar options if you want to pull from any of these integrations. I'll click to grab this file.
And one just important thing to call out is whatever PCO or tracking number you give them, they can't edit it when they respond. So it'll be there for their reference, but that way you guys will have PCO numbers assigned to each change order request you get back.
Yeah, which was a good item to point out because most of the time, at least in my day, I don't know, Cam, if it was similar in your experience, but I'd say probably at least half the change orders I received via email never had a PCO number attached or never had the correct PCO number attached.
Oh, of course.
So takes that thinking part out of the trade's hands. Um, so once the trade uploads their PDF, the tool will be set up to go to who it needs to go to on the GC side, and then they go ahead and hit send, and that
And
notification gets sent.
and the important thing I'll point out, Mark, too, is like if you're not familiar with ClearStory on this webinar, that's for the point of entry to get your trade partners using ClearStory. That's all they have to know how to do is simply upload their change order request. So like the barrier to entry getting this going with your trade partners is incredibly minimal. All they have to be able to do is hit that drop down, drag their file, and basically click submit. There are other tools you can leverage with your trade partners, like our digital T&M tags and other items that maybe require like a slight bit of training for them. But even with those tools, it's incredibly easy. So just wanted to point that out. And the feedback we get constantly is that they love it because it helps them understand their change order exposure. They no longer have to keep a change order log and keep it up to date for you guys to send. So there's tons of shared value to using ClearStory with your trade partners, and that's also the largest part of our customer base is subcontractors. So just wanted to point that out there. Sometimes that is the concern of will my trade partners actually adopt this, and we've designed it to be as easy as possible for them to adopt.
Yeah. So then popping back over to my test GC account, when I refresh, you'll see now I have 1 of 13 that have responded. When I click the eyeball, I can see they responded on this date. Here's that link to the change order, going back to what we took a look at earlier, where now I can go into the PDF, do all my markups, comments, all communication can happen back and forth within ClearStory, eliminating those potential multiple email threads and potential loss of information through those
That was
multiple threads.
quite the descriptive change order there.
Yeah, you like that one?
But yeah, Mark, let's with the time left, let's just hit the change notification
Yeah.
response matrix. And just go through that. So we have what we call contractor insights, and what it is downstream reporting on all your change order exposure and T&M exposure across your project. So there's a number of tabs in here, but the one that's most relevant to pricing requests is our change notification response matrix, which Mark, do you want to quickly walk through what you're looking at here?
Yeah, so this is like the bird's eye view of every pricing request that I've sent out for this project. So each of those change notifications is listed on the left, all of the trades listed at the top, and then in the field here is the statuses of all the change notifications based on the trade. So I can see my total responses on the left-hand side here for each trade, and then what those responses are in the field. So again, getting a better view or better visibility into where you're at with all these different pricing requests through ClearStory, I can come in as a GC and very quickly pinpoint specific pricing requests and know what my action is or who I need to follow up with for each of those pricings. Um, so just really nice visually to be able to stay on track and figure out your next few steps of, okay, we need to attack this pricing request or this person's lagging behind. We give overall status grades at the top, so depending on what their response percentage is, maybe you need to have a conversation with, company A because they have a 44% response rate to those change notifications. So just a very nice visual from a tracking perspective to help yourselves and your trades stay on top of getting that pricing over in a timely manner and be able to um, reflect that upstream and notify your client.
Yep. And then the last thing I'll point out, which is, related to pricing exercises, is we integrate with a lot of general contractor common systems of record for project financials. So we integrate with Vista, CMIC, Procore Financials. We'll very soon be launching Autodesk Financials. And so um, as you receive cost impacts in ClearStory, change order requests, you can push those to PCOs or change events in those systems. And what's really powerful about that is, one, it saves all the data entry of getting that PCO populated. But then in ClearStory, we can give you reporting of how much change order exposure do I have on this job that isn't yet in my system of record and therefore part of my forecast. So just want to point that out. We're not going to demo that today, but happy to set that up with anyone. And I know we're a little bit over time, so I appreciate everyone hopping on. We've got a few questions coming in, so I'll introduce those. And of course, if you need to drop, we'll send this out to everyone. And I'm also going to announce the winner of the Yeti Cooler. So maybe I'll do that first. Hopefully everyone doesn't drop off as soon as I do that. And our marketing team pinged us. I'm not sure the magic way they do this, but Victor Avalar from Swinnerton, one of our customers, you are the winner of a Yeti Go box. So congratulations. We'll shoot you an email and get you the cooler. Let me check out the couple questions we have, and then we'll get wrapped up. So the first one, is the PCO number sequential? Does it have to specific characters as PCO? Many GCs and special contractors have specific naming convention and number sequence requirements. Yes. So many parts to that answer. So the PCO field we call a reference number because some companies call it a PCI number, PCO number, change event number. So in our software, it's always called reference number. And we do some logic behind auto-populating it. So like we prevent duplicates. And we also allow it to have any characters in there. So I think if you saw Mark typed in PCO, we have that field. And then there's also a separate structured field if you're using our integration with one of those systems I mentioned. And when you do use our integration, you can create a PCO in, let's say, Vista directly from inside of ClearStory. And in those systems, we will use their logic to pull in the next numbering sequence. So there's a lot to unpack there, but hopefully that gives you a high level of how we think about it. How much data is pushed from ClearStory to Procore? One of the biggest pain points at one of my last companies was having to use Procore T&M tool, Spectrum Viewpoint, and an Excel sheet due to some limitations within Procore. Yeah, so we didn't really highlight it today, but when you create a change notification in ClearStory, you can simultaneously create a change event back in Procore. So as you receive responses, we let the user decide when you want to push the cost information to the change event line items. And so even from the very start, we integrate with Procore. And then as you like, let's say you mark a change order request to revise and resubmit from your subcontractor, and they submit a revision, we'll alert you that the change order request in ClearStory no longer matches Procore. And then the second part of your question, which actually I meant to touch on today, is that with our change notifications, you can also, like what we demoed today was pricing exercises, but what you can also do with the tool is authorize T&M work. And what that'll do is you can open a T&M ticket for your trade partner. And if they download our mobile app, they can simply create a T&M ticket, take photos of their work. Your superintendent can sign it. And then it also tracks it through the change order lifecycle. So you can ensure you quickly get pricing on that T&M ticket, which can obviously be a big blind spot. So if that was a pain point, what you're describing, I think we could definitely help. Once all the pricing was received from the trades, does ClearStory package up all the backup in a single PDF to submit to the owner? Fantastic question. Yes, and I would say we do it in a number of different ways. We have a change order creation template in our software. So what some GCs decide to do is push the data to their PCO, manage the PCO there, but they use our templates and cover sheets to actually package and send the change order requests upstream. So let's say you get 10 responses back, you can go to our change order request template, select those 10 change order requests. They'll automatically pull into our pricing cover sheet page. You can even apply your markups right on that page. You can also swap out our cover sheet if you want to swap in your own. But then you literally click a button and we build the entire PDF package without you having to like save the files and stitch them together and do all that. And then it can land in your owner's ClearStory account. They can review it from there. Alternatively, if you don't want to use our workflow for that, and you want to keep your process the same for owner change orders, we offer some really simple bulk export tools where you can export all the PDFs at once and save them to like a PCO folder to do whatever the current process is today. Then the last one is there a way to send automatic notifications to customers or PMs for tickets awaiting signatures? We don't do it automatically. And the reason why is we've tried to avoid having too much like white noise and too many automatic emails. We've gotten feedback from customers that other systems, people get inundated with emails and stop responding. But what I will say is we make it very easy to bulk send reminders from our system, and we alert you when things are past due. So with a couple clicks of a button, you can send out a reminder to all your trades that this pricing request is due, and we alert you when it's coming up on the due date. But we kind of give you the option. That's something we might change in the future. So it's just sort of a decision we've made, and it has seemed to work pretty well for our current customers. And I know we're way past time now. I think that was the end of the questions, but what I would say is, if you guys are interested in learning more, reach out to myself or Mark, or just do a demo request on our website. Most of our team members between customer success and sales are ex general contractor project managers or specialty contractor PMs, and they know and understand this process very well. So always looking forward to engaging and talking, and would love to get you guys set up. And we also offer like easy ways to pilot and test the software out. So happy to engage, and we'd love to talk to you guys.